The council chamber on Valoria Prime was filled with representatives from 12 different alien species. They all stood around a massive holographic display that showed the contested region of space known as the Sigma Quadrant. Supreme Commander Veloth, a tall being with silver skin and 4 arms, pointed at the red dots scattered across the map. "These are human colonies," Veloth said, his voice echoing through the chamber. 47 of them. They have built them in our territory without permission. This is an act of war." The other council members murmured in agreement. The Valorian Empire had controlled the Sigma Quadrant for 300 years. Now these newcomers, these humans, had simply moved in and started building homes. "We must respond with strength," said another council member. "We must show them that we will not accept this behavior." Veloth nodded. "I have already ordered the fleet to assemble. We will bring 3,000 warships, 50 dreadnoughts, and 200,000 support vessels. It will be the largest fleet ever gathered in galactic history." The council approved the plan. Messages were sent across the Empire. Ships began moving toward the meeting point at the edge of the Sigma Quadrant. The galaxy watched and waited. On Earth, in the military headquarters building, Admiral Hyun sat in a meeting with 20 other high-ranking officers. They were arguing about how to respond to the Valorian threat. "We need to send our entire fleet," one general said, slamming his hand on the table. "They are bringing 3,000 ships. We must match their numbers." "We have only 800 warships," another officer pointed out. "We cannot match them. We should negotiate." "Negotiate?" the first general shouted. "They threw our diplomats out of their space. They gave us 30 days to abandon our colonies. There is nothing to negotiate." Admiral Hyun had been quiet during all of this. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had seen many conflicts in his long career. Now he raised his hand and the room fell silent. "We will send 1 ship," Hyun said calmly. The room erupted in protests. Officers stood up shouting that it was madness. One woman called it surrender. Another man said it would make humanity look weak to the entire galaxy. Hyun waited for them to quiet down. Then he spoke again. "We will send the Wanderer. Captain Taeyang will command the mission." "The Wanderer?" someone asked in disbelief. "That is not even a warship. It is an exploration vessel." "Exactly," Hyun said. "Trust me. 1 ship is all we need." The vote was close, but Admiral Hyun had enough support. The decision was made. Messages went out across Earth's communication networks. The news spread to the colonies. People were confused and scared. Many thought their government had given up. Captain Taeyang received the orders in his quarters. He was a man in his mid-40s with dark hair and a weathered face. He had spent years as a merchant captain before joining the military. He had a reputation for solving problems in unusual ways. He called his senior officers to the briefing room. His first officer, Commander Minho, arrived first. Minho was younger, with sharp eyes and a suspicious nature. "Is it true?" Minho asked. "Are we really going alone?" "Yes," Taeyang said simply. Soon the others arrived. Dr. Yuna, the chief science officer, was a brilliant woman with quick hands and a quicker mind. She specialized in quantum mechanics and spatial physics. Engineer Jinmu came next, a stocky man who could fix or build almost anything. Lieutenant Sora, the communications officer, was the youngest of the senior staff. Taeyang showed them the orders. They would depart in 2 days. Their destination was the neutral zone at the edge of the Sigma Quadrant. The Valorian fleet would be waiting. "This is insane," Minho said. 150 crew members against 3,000 ships. "Admiral Hyun believes in us," Taeyang replied. "More importantly, he believes in what humanity can do." "What can we do against an entire fleet?" Sora asked. Dr. Yuna smiled. "More than they expect." The next 2 days were busy. The Wanderer was loaded with supplies and equipment. Special cargo containers were brought aboard under heavy security. The crew said goodbye to their families. Many people came to watch the ship depart, holding signs and flags. In space, the Valorian fleet continued to gather. Ships arrived from all corners of the Empire. The formation grew larger every day. Galactic news networks broadcast images of the massive fleet. Reporters speculated about the coming conflict. "Humanity has not responded with their fleet," one news anchor said. "Perhaps they will surrender peacefully." But then word spread that humanity had sent a ship. Just one. The news caused confusion across the galaxy. Some species thought it was a joke. Others believed humans were suicidal. A few wondered if humanity knew something the rest of the galaxy did not. On the day of departure, Captain Taeyang stood on the bridge of the Wanderer. His crew was at their stations. The ship's engines hummed with power. Through the view screen, he could see Earth hanging in space, blue and beautiful. All systems ready, Captain, Jinwoo reported from engineering. Communications are clear, Sora added. Navigation locked on course, said the helmsman. Taeyang took a deep breath. He thought about all the people counting on them. The colonists in the Sigma Quadrant. The families on Earth. The future of humanity in the galaxy. Take us out, he ordered. The Wanderer's engines flared bright. The ship moved away from Earth, picking up speed. Within hours, they would enter faster-than-light travel. Within days, they would reach the Valorian fleet. Commander Minho stood beside the captain's chair. Sir, do you really think we can succeed? Taeyang looked at the stars ahead. Minho, the Valorians are about to learn something important about humans. We do not measure strength by numbers. We measure it by what we can accomplish with what we have. And what can we accomplish? Everything, Taeyang said with a slight smile. We can accomplish everything. The Wanderer jumped to faster-than-light speed and Earth disappeared behind them. Ahead lay the unknown. Ahead lay the greatest challenge humanity had faced since joining the galactic community. One ship against 3,000, 150 humans against an empire. But as Dr. Yuna worked in her laboratory preparing systems that no other species had ever seen, she felt no fear. As Engineer Jinwoo checked the special cargo containers, he felt only determination. As Lieutenant Sora composed the first contact message they would send, she felt pride. They were human, and that they believed would be enough. The Wanderer dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the neutral zone. On the bridge, the crew stared at the view screen in silence. Before them stretched the Valorian fleet in all its terrible glory. Thousands of ships filled the space. The smallest vessels were twice the size of the Wanderer. The dreadnoughts were floating cities bristling with weapons. Support ships created a web of supply lines. Fighter craft buzzed between the larger vessels like insects. My God, whispered Commander Minho. Captain Taeyang stood calmly, his hands behind his back. Sora, open a channel. All frequencies. Lieutenant Sora's fingers moved across her console. Channel open, sir. This is Captain Taeyang of the Earth vessel Wanderer. We have arrived as requested. We are prepared to discuss the situation in the Sigma Quadrant. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then the view screen flickered and changed. A face appeared. Supreme Commander Veloth looked at them with his 4 eyes. His expression was something between anger and disbelief. This is your response? Veloth asked. One ship? You mock us. We do not mock you, Taeyang replied. We take this situation very seriously. That is why I am here to speak with you directly. Other Valorian commanders appeared on split screens. They were all speaking at once in their own language. Taeyang's computer translated their words. Most of them were insulted. Some were confused. A few seemed amused. Silence, Veloth commanded, and the other screens went quiet. He turned his attention back to Taeyang. Where is your fleet? Where are your warships? This is our response, Taeyang said. The Wanderer is all we need. One of the other Valorian commanders laughed. It was a harsh barking sound. You are either fools or cowards. Perhaps both. Veloth held up one of his 4 hands. Captain Taeyang, I will grant you the respect of a formal meeting. You may bring 2 officers to my flagship. We will discuss terms of your surrender. Not surrender, Taeyang corrected gently. We will discuss terms of your withdrawal from human colonies. The Valorian commanders exploded in angry chatter again. Veloth's silver skin darkened with what might have been rage, but he was a disciplined leader. He controlled himself. You have courage, human. Foolish courage, but courage nonetheless. Come to my ship. 2 hours from now. Do not be late. The transmission ended. The bridge crew looked at their captain. Sir, Minho said quietly, they could kill you the moment you board their ship. They could, Taeyang agreed. But they want to understand us first. Yuna, you will come with me. And Jinwoo. Dr. Yuna looked up from her science station. Of course, Captain. Engineer Jinwoo's voice came over the communication system from the engine room. I heard. I will be ready. The next 2 hours were busy. The Wanderer maintained its position. The crew ran final checks on all systems. Dr. Yuna prepared data files to show the Valorians. Jinwoo made sure the small shuttle they would use was in perfect condition. Captain Taeyang went to his quarters and changed into his formal uniform. He looked at himself in the mirror. A simple man about to face an empire, he thought about his daughter back on Earth. She was 12 years old. He had promised to return home safely. He intended to keep that promise. The shuttle launched from the Wanderer and crossed the space between the human ship and the Valorian flagship. As they flew, they passed between massive warships. Each one had enough firepower to destroy a planet. Jinwoo piloted the shuttle with steady hands, but Taeyang could see sweat on the engineer's forehead. They docked with the flagship. The airlock opened. 6 Valorian guards stood waiting, each carrying weapons that glowed with blue energy. The guards led them through corridors filled with alien technology. The conference room was enormous. A table stretched across the center, long enough for 50 beings to sit. Supreme Commander Veloth sat at the head of the table. 20 other Valorian officers sat along the sides. Taeyang, Yuna, and Jinwoo sat at the opposite end. 3 humans facing 21 aliens. Let us begin, Veloth said. Captain Taeyang, you will order your people to evacuate the 47 colonies. You have 30 days. If you comply, we will allow your people to leave peacefully. If you refuse, we will remove them by force. Taeyang leaned back in his chair. Supreme Commander, I have a different proposal. You will withdraw your fleet from this region. You have 72 hours, the room erupted. Valorian officers shouted in outrage. One jumped to his feet. Another slammed his fist on the table so hard it cracked. Veloth raised his hands for silence. When the room quieted, he leaned forward. Captain, you are either very brave or very stupid. Please explain to me why I should not have you killed right now and simply destroy your ship. Because, Taeyang said calmly, you are intelligent. You are a good commander. And good commanders gather information before they act. I have all the information I need. You have 1 ship. We have 3,000. Dr. Yuna spoke for the first time. Supreme Commander, may I show you something? Veloth nodded. Yuna activated a holographic projector. Images appeared above the table. They showed human history, wars, conflicts, struggles. Humanity has been fighting for 10,000 years, Yuna explained. We have fought wars with swords, wars with guns, wars with atomic weapons. We have fought in deserts, in jungles, in frozen wastelands. We have fought in space. We have never stopped learning how to survive. More images appeared. Humans climbing mountains. Humans diving in deep oceans. Humans living in harsh environments. Our planet is what we call a death world, Yuna continued. It has extreme weather. It has dangerous predators. It has diseases and disasters. Most species in the galaxy evolved on gentle worlds. We did not. We learned to adapt or die. Jinwoo added his own explanation. We also learned to build, to create, to solve problems. When we have a challenge, we do not give up. We find a solution. Veloth listened carefully. He was studying the images with his 4 eyes. This is impressive, but it does not change the mathematics of the situation. 1 ship cannot defeat 3,000, Taeyang stood up. Supreme Commander, I am giving you 72 hours. Not because I am arrogant, not because I want war, but because I want you to have time to research who you are dealing with. Learn about humanity, then decide if you truly want this conflict. You threaten me, on my own ship. I warn you, Taeyang said. There is a difference. In 72 hours, if your fleet is still here, we will take action. You will not like the results. Veloth stood as well. He was much taller than Taeyang. You are dismissed, Captain. Return to your ship. In 72 hours, we will see if your confidence is justified or if it is simply madness. The guards escorted them back to the shuttle. As they flew back to the Wanderer, Jinwoo finally spoke. Captain, did we just make things worse? No, Taeyang replied. We made them curious. Now they will study us. They will learn. And when they learn what humanity is truly capable of, they will understand. Back on the Wanderer, the crew waited anxiously. When Taeyang returned to the bridge, they all looked at him with questions in their eyes. We have 72 hours, he announced. Yuna, begin preparations for Protocol Dandelion. Jinwoo, make sure all systems are ready. Everyone else maintain alert status. Protocol Dandelion? Minyo asked. Taeyang smiled. They will learn soon enough. For now, we wait. In the Valorian flagship, Veloth called his intelligence officers to his private chamber. I want to know everything about these humans. Their history, their technology, their military capabilities, everything. We have 72 hours. Use them wisely. The intelligence division of the Valorian fleet worked through the first night. Officers analyzed every piece of information they could find about humanity. What they discovered made them increasingly uncomfortable. Commander Krell, head of intelligence, stood before Supreme Commander Veloth, with a datapad in his hands. His expression was troubled. "Sir, I must report some disturbing findings," Krell began. "Tell me," Veloth said. "The humans evolved on what they call Earth. The gravity is 30% higher than our standard. The atmospheric pressure is double what most species consider comfortable. The planet has extreme temperature variations, violent weather patterns, and multiple climate zones that would kill most galactic species." Veloth frowned. "A harsh world. This explains their physical endurance. It gets worse, sir. Earth is home to millions of species of predators. Some of them are massive. Others are venomous. Many are both. Yet humans became the dominant species. They did not do this by being stronger or faster. They did it by being smarter and more adaptable." Krell activated a holographic display. Images of Earth's creatures appeared. Lions, bears, sharks, snakes. These are some of Earth's predators. Now, sir, this is the disturbing part. Humans domesticated some of these predators. They turned wolves into companions they call dogs. They keep them in their homes. They treat them like family members. Veloth's 4 eyes widened. "They befriend predators?" "Yes, sir. They are the only species in the galaxy known to do this. Our xenopsychology experts say this shows an unusual combination of traits. Humans can form bonds with other species, even dangerous ones. But it also means they understand predatory behavior on an intimate level." More images appeared. These showed human history. Battles, weapons, armies. Human military history is continuous and brutal. Krell continued. "They have been at war for their entire recorded history. Not just with other species, but with themselves. Humans fought other humans for thousands of years. They developed weapons of incredible destructive power. They created strategies and tactics that would impress any military academy in the galaxy. But they are a young species," Veloth said. "They only joined the galactic community 50 years ago." "True, sir. But in those 50 years, they have absorbed and improved upon every technology they encountered. They learn fast. They adapt faster. Our analysts compared human technological advancement to other species. Humans advance at a rate 5 times faster than the galactic average." Veloth stood and walked to the window of his chamber. Outside, his vast fleet floated in space. None of this changes the fact that they sent one ship. One. Are they fools, or do they know something we do not? That is what concerns me most, sir. Let me show you something else. Krell pulled up information about the Wanderer. This ship is classified in human records as an exploration vessel, but our scans show it has some unusual characteristics. First, it has manufacturing facilities on board, not simple repair shops, but actual factories. Many long-range exploration ships have this, Veloth noted. Yes, but not like this. The Wanderer can manufacture complex components. Our scans detected massive cargo bays filled with raw materials and something else. Containers that our sensors cannot fully penetrate. What is in those containers? We do not know. The shielding is extremely advanced. Whatever is inside, the humans want to keep it secret. Another officer entered the chamber. It was Science Officer Mora. She looked worried. Supreme Commander, I have been analyzing Dr. Yuna's research publications. She is a quantum physicist of exceptional ability. Her papers describe theoretical concepts that our best scientists said were impossible, such as, Veloth asked, localized gravitational manipulation, selective nuclear inhibition, self-replicating construction drones, matter reorganization at the molecular level. Sir, if even half of her theories work in practice, the humans have capabilities we never imagined. Krell nodded. I had my team analyze human entertainment media, their movies, games, and books. Do you know what humans do for fun, sir? Tell me. They simulate war. They create games where they fight and strategize. They watch movies about conflicts and survival. Their children play with toy weapons. Their sports involve combat and competition. Other species use entertainment to relax. Humans use it to train. Veloth felt a cold sensation in his chest. What are you saying? I am saying that every human civilian has received informal tactical training their entire lives. They think about survival and conflict constantly. It is part of their culture. Now imagine what their actual military can do. Mora pulled up more data. I also found something interesting in human diplomatic records. In the last 50 years, Humanity has had conflicts with 3 other species, small disputes over territory or resources. And, Veloth prompted, in every case humans won. But here is what makes it remarkable. After winning, they did not conquer. They did not enslave. They negotiated peace agreements and turned their former enemies into trading partners. All 3 species are now allies of humanity. They show mercy? Veloth asked, more than that. They show strategic thinking. Humans seem to fight with the assumption that their enemies will eventually become their neighbors. They do not seek to destroy. They seek to win and then build something better. Krell pulled up an image of Captain Taeyang. I have been studying their captain. His record shows he was a merchant before joining the military. He solved several pirate situations without firing weapons. He negotiated hostage releases. He has a reputation for finding non-violent solutions, yet he is the one they sent to face us. A diplomat in soldier's clothing, Veloth mused. Perhaps, or perhaps something more concerning. Perhaps he is a soldier who thinks like a diplomat. Someone who knows how to fight but chooses not to unless necessary. The hours passed. More reports came in. Each one added to the growing picture of humanity. They were tough. They were clever. They were adaptable. They were dangerous. But they were also capable of mercy and cooperation. On the Wanderer, Dr. Yuna worked in her laboratory. She was making final adjustments to equipment that would soon be deployed. The technology was based on her own research, refined over years of experimentation. Engineer Jinwoo checked the cargo containers one more time. Inside were thousands of small devices, each no larger than a human fist. They looked simple, but they represented humanity's greatest technological achievement. Captain Taeyang sat in his quarters, writing a letter to his daughter. He wanted her to know that he loved her, that he was proud of her, that everything he did was to make the galaxy safer for her generation. Lieutenant Sora monitored Valorian communications. She could hear their chatter increase. They were learning about humanity. They were becoming worried. Good. Worry meant they were taking the situation seriously. Commander Minho came to the captain's quarters. Sir, I have been thinking. If Protocol Dandelion is what I think it is, the Valorians will be shocked. That is the point, Taeyang said. We need to show them what humanity can do. But more importantly, we need to show them what we choose not to do. I do not understand. Taeyang sealed the letter to his daughter. The greatest power is not the ability to destroy, Minho. It is the ability to destroy but choosing not to. It is the ability to win but choosing peace. That is what will change everything. Back in the Valorian flagship, Veloth called a meeting of his senior commanders. They gathered in the war room. The holographic display showed the Wanderer, small and alone. Gentlemen, Veloth began, I have read all the reports. I have learned about humanity. Now I must make a decision. Do we attack? Or do we wait? Attack, one commander said immediately. They are one ship. Even if they have advanced weapons, they cannot defeat our entire fleet. Another commander disagreed. Sir, with respect, I think we should withdraw. The humans are clearly more capable than we thought. The debate raged for hours. Finally, Veloth raised his hand for silence. We will wait until the deadline expires. Then we will send a strike force, 50 ships. If the humans truly have a weapon, this will reveal it. If they are bluffing, we will destroy them quickly. Either way, we will learn the truth. The commanders agreed. The order went out. 50 ships would attack when the 72 hours ended. On the Wanderer, an alarm sounded. Sora reported the Valorian decision. Taeyang nodded. They need to see it to believe it. Very well, prepare Protocol Dandelion. In 72 hours, we show them what humanity can do. The 72 hours passed slowly. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched the standoff through news broadcasts. Everyone wanted to see what would happen when the deadline expired. On the Wanderer, Captain Taeyang stood on the bridge with his senior officers. The countdown timer reached 0. Sora, send the message, Taeyang ordered. Lieutenant Sora's fingers moved across her console. Message sent, sir. All frequencies, the message was simple. This is the Wanderer. Your time has expired. We are now implementing Protocol Dandelion. Do not interfere. Do not attack. You will not enjoy the consequences. On the Valorian flagship, Supreme Commander Veloth received the message. He turned to his tactical officer. Send in the strike force. 50 ships. Destroy the human vessel. 50 Valorian warships broke formation and accelerated toward the Wanderer. Each ship was armed with plasma cannons, missile batteries, and energy shields. Together, they had enough firepower to crack a moon in half. "Captain, the strike force is approaching," Commander Minho reported. "They will be in weapons range in 2 minutes." "Jinwoo, release the pods," Taeyang said calmly. In the cargo bay of the Wanderer, massive doors opened. Thousands of small objects shot out into space. They scattered in all directions, spreading across hundreds of thousands of kilometers. The Valorian Strike Force commander watched his sensors. "What are those? Some kind of mines?" His tactical officer shook his head. "Unknown, sir. They are too small to be weapons. They are not reading as explosives. Ignore them. Target the human ship. All vessels fire at will." 50 ships opened fire. Plasma bolts and missiles streaked toward the Wanderer. But something strange happened. The Wanderer did not move. It did not raise shields. It simply sat there. "Captain, they are firing on us," Minho said tensely. "I see it," Taeyang replied. "Yuna, activate the field." Dr. Yuna pressed a series of controls. Around the Wanderer, space itself seemed to ripple. The incoming weapons slowed down. Then they stopped completely, hanging in space like insects frozen in amber. "What is happening?" the Valorian strike commander shouted. "Why have our weapons stopped?" His science officer studied the readings frantically. "Sir, the humans have created a localized gravitational anomaly. They have increased the gravity around their ship by a factor of 100,000. Our weapons cannot penetrate it." "Impossible," the commander breathed. "On the Wanderer," Jinwoo reported from engineering. "The pods are activating now, Captain." Throughout the space around the Valorian fleet, the small pods came to life. Each one extended mechanical arms. Each one began to scan for raw materials. And each one found what it needed. The asteroid belt nearby was rich with minerals. The pods flew to the asteroids and began to work. They broke down the rock. They extracted metals and silicates. They began to build. Within the first hour, each pod had created 2 more pods. Those new pods flew to other asteroids and began the same process. 2 became 4. 4 became 8. 8 became 16. The Valorian strike commander watched in growing horror as his sensors showed an exponential increase in the number of objects. "They are multiplying. Report this to Supreme Commander Veloth immediately." On the flagship, Veloth stared at the tactical display. The small dots representing the pods were spreading across the entire region like a plague. "What are they building?" he demanded. Science Officer Mora studied her instruments. "Sir, they are constructing what appears to be a network. Relay stations, power generators, weapons platforms. They are using the asteroids as raw materials and building an entire infrastructure." "How fast?" "At current rates, they will have constructed more than 1 million independent units within 24 hours. Within 48 hours, they will have a complete defensive grid that will rival our entire fleet's capabilities." Veloth felt his blood run cold. "Can we destroy them?" "We are trying, sir. The strike force is firing on the pods now." On the view screen, Veloth watched as his ships fired at the pods. Some exploded, but for every one destroyed, 2 more took its place. The reproduction rate was faster than the destruction rate. "They are like a virus," Mora said quietly. "A mechanical virus. They consume resources and reproduce. They cannot be stopped by conventional weapons." Commander Krell spoke up. "Sir, this explains why they only sent 1 ship. The ship is not the weapon. The ship is a delivery system. The pods are the weapon, and they can create an entire fleet from nothing." Veloth felt respect mixing with his fear. A single ship that can become 1,000 ships. 1,000 ships that can become an empire. This is humanity's strategy. The hours passed. The network grew. The pods built relay stations that connected to each other. They built weapons platforms that aimed at the Valorian fleet. They built power generators that pulsed with energy. The Valorian strike commander made a decision. "If we cannot stop the pods, we destroy the ship that deployed them. All vessels concentrate fire on the Wanderer. Maximum power." 50 ships turned their weapons on the human vessel. Every cannon, every missile, every energy weapon, they all fired at once. The space around the Wanderer lit up with explosions and plasma fire. The gravitational field that had protected the ship before collapsed under the massive assault. On the Wanderer, alarms blared. The ship shook violently. "Shields at 40%, Minho shouted. "Hull breaches on decks 3 and 5. "We cannot take much more of this," Taeyang looked at Dr. Yuna. "Now?" She nodded. "Now, Captain, Yuna activated a device on her console. Across the Valorian strike force, something impossible happened. The ship's power cores simply stopped. Nuclear fusion reactions that should have been impossible to halt just ceased. The ships went dark. Their weapons fell silent. Their engines died. Inside the Valorian ships, emergency lighting activated. Engineers stared at their instruments in disbelief. What happened? The strike commander demanded. Sir, our fusion reactors have been shut down. All of them. Simultaneously. I do not know how, but something has stopped the nuclear reactions. Restart them. We are trying, sir, but it is not working. It is as if the laws of physics have been suspended inside our reactors. The strike commander felt fear for the first time in his career. His ship was dead in space. All 50 ships in his force were disabled, and they were surrounded by the growing network of human construction drones. Captain Taiyang's voice came over the communications channel. It was broadcast to every ship in the Valorian fleet. This is Captain Taiyang. As you can see, we have disabled your strike force without destroying a single ship, without killing a single crew member. We did this to demonstrate two things. First, humanity has weapons you cannot defend against. Second, we choose not to use them to kill. Veloth listened to the message with his 4 eyes closed. Taiyang continued, right now our construction network is completing its deployment. Within 6 hours we will have complete control of this region of space. We could use this control to destroy your entire fleet. We will not. Instead, we will give you one more chance. Withdraw your fleet. Leave the Sigma Quadrant. Allow humanity to live in peace in our colonies. And if we refuse? Veloth asked, opening a return channel. Then we will not destroy you. We will simply contain you. We will build a barrier that your ships cannot cross. We will trap your fleet here until you run out of supplies and are forced to surrender. This will be humiliating for you. It will damage your reputation across the galaxy. But none of your people will die. There was a long pause. Then Taiyang spoke again, his voice softer. Supreme Commander Veloth, you are a good leader. You care about your people. I respect that. I do not want to be your enemy. Humanity does not want to be your enemy. We want to be your neighbors, your trading partners, perhaps someday your friends. But this requires you to accept that we have the right to exist in the space we have settled. Choose peace. Choose a better future for both our peoples. Veloth looked around his command center. His officers stared at him, waiting for orders. Outside the viewport, he could see the growing network of human construction drones. They pulsed with light and energy, a visible demonstration of human capability. He thought about the reports he had read, about humanity's history of turning enemies into allies, about their combination of strength and mercy, about their strange ability to fight brutally but then offer peace generously. Reactivate our strike force, he ordered quietly. Within minutes, the disabled Valorian ships came back to life. Their reactors restarted as suddenly as they had stopped. The human weapon had been turned off. They gave us our ships back, Krell said in amazement. They showed mercy? Veloth nodded slowly. Yes, they did. Because they want us to choose. They want this to be our decision, not something forced upon us. He looked at the image of the Wanderer on his screen, one small ship that had changed everything. One captain who had shown him a different way. Open a channel to Captain Taiyang, Veloth said. I wish to speak with him, privately. Captain Taiyang sat alone in his ready room. The door chime sounded and Lieutenant Sora entered. Captain, Supreme Commander Veloth is requesting a private communication. Just you and him, Taiyang nodded. Put him through. And Sora, thank you. You have done excellent work, she smiled and left. The view screen on his wall activated. Veloth's face appeared, but he looked different now. Less angry, more thoughtful. Captain Taiyang, Veloth began. We need to talk. Leader to leader. Not as enemies, but as two beings trying to do what is best for their people. I agree, Taiyang said. Please speak freely. Veloth was silent for a moment, choosing his words carefully. My intelligence officers spent the last 3 days learning about humanity. What they found disturbed them. Your species is dangerous. You come from a harsh world. You have a violent history. You advance quickly, both technologically and strategically. All true, Taiyang admitted. But there is something else they found. Something that disturbs me even more than your weapons. Veloth leaned forward. In your entire history, you have never fought a war of complete extermination against another intelligent species. You fight, you win, but then you try to make peace. You try to build something better with your former enemies. Taeyang smiled slightly. Also true. Why? Veloth asked. Why show mercy to those who would destroy you? Because, Taeyang said slowly, we learned something important in our long history. Today's enemy might be tomorrow's friend. Today's conflict might be tomorrow's cooperation. We fight when we must, but we always remember that the war will end and then we must live with the consequences of how we fought. Veloth nodded. You are the only species that fights with the assumption that your enemy will become your neighbor. We hope they will become more than neighbors. We hope they will become partners, allies, friends. Taeyang gestured to the space outside. Supreme Commander, the galaxy is vast. There is room for all of us. There are resources enough for everyone. Why fight over what we can share? Pride, Veloth said quietly. Fear. The belief that if we do not dominate, we will be dominated. I understand these feelings. Humans have felt them too. But we learned that cooperation makes everyone stronger. Competition can be healthy, but destruction benefits no one. Veloth looked away from the camera. When he looked back, there was something new in his expression. Captain, you could have destroyed my fleet. Your weapon that stopped our reactors. If you had not reactivated them, my ships would have become tombs. Tens of thousands of my people would have died slowly in the cold of space. Yes, Taeyang said simply. Why did you not do this? It would have eliminated your enemy completely. Because you are not my enemy. You are a leader who was protecting what he believed was his territory. You are doing your duty. I respect that. More than that, I believe you are a good person. The galaxy needs good leaders. I would rather have you as a friend than remove you as an enemy. Veloth was quiet for a long moment. What do you propose? Withdraw your fleet? Allow humanity to keep our colonies in the Sigma Quadrant. In return, we will share the resources of the region. We will establish joint trading posts. We will work together to develop the area. Both our peoples will benefit. My government will see this as surrender. Or, Taeyang said gently, you can present it as a strategic alliance. You recognize that humanity is a valuable potential partner. You chose cooperation over conflict. You secured shared access to the resources of the Sigma Quadrant without losing a single ship or soldier. That is not surrender. That is wisdom. Veloth's expression changed. He almost smiled. You would help me save face with my government? I want this to be good for both of us. If you are punished for choosing peace, then other leaders will not choose peace in the future. That would be bad for everyone. You think like a diplomat. I think like someone who wants his daughter to grow up in a galaxy where different species can live together. Peacefully, Veloth nodded slowly. I have 3 daughters. I understand, he paused. Captain Taeyang, I accept your proposal. But I have one request. What is it? Dismantle your construction network. Show the galaxy that humanity can be trusted to use its power responsibly. Taeyang smiled. Of course. That was always our intention. We built it to demonstrate our capability, not to threaten anyone. Jinwoo, begin dismantling the network. Engineer Jinwoo's voice came over the communication system. Yes, Captain. Initiating deconstruction sequence. Across the region of space, the millions of construction drones stopped their work. They began to take apart what they had built. The weapons platforms, the relay stations, the power generators. All of it was broken down into raw materials and organized into storage containers. What will you do with the materials? Veloth asked. We will use them to build the joint trading station. The first cooperation between humanity and the Valorian Empire, a symbol of what we can accomplish together. Veloth stood up in his command center. Then I will order my fleet to stand down. We will withdraw to a distance but remain in the system to assist with the construction of the trading station. This will show both our peoples that we are committed to this new relationship. An excellent idea, Taeyang agreed. The communication ended. Taeyang sat back in his chair and allowed himself a moment of relief. They had succeeded. No one had died. No ships had been destroyed. War had been avoided. Commander Minho entered the ready room. Captain, the Valorian fleet is withdrawing. They are moving to a position 10 million kilometers away. They are sending messages saying they will assist with construction of the joint facility. Good, Taeyang said. Very good. Over the next several days, the situation transformed completely. Human and Valorian engineers worked together to design the trading station. The construction drones, now working cooperatively with Valorian technology, built the station in record time. Dr. Yuna met with Valorian scientists. They discussed quantum physics and shared research. The Valorians were amazed by human theoretical work. The humans were impressed by Valorian practical applications. Together, they began planning joint research projects. Engineer Jinwoo worked side by side with a Valorian engineer named Tolvin. They discovered they had similar approaches to problem solving. They laughed at the same technical jokes. They became friends. Lieutenant Sora helped establish communication protocols between the two species. She found that despite their different languages and cultures, there was much common ground. Both species valued family. Both species had art and music. Both species dreamed of a better future. News of the peaceful resolution spread across the galaxy. The story was incredible. A lone human ship had faced down the largest fleet in galactic history and had won without firing a shot. More importantly, they had turned a potential war into a partnership. 47 other alien governments sent messages to Earth. They wanted to establish diplomatic relations. They wanted to learn more about humanity. They wanted to become partners with this species that valued cooperation over conquest. Ambassador Yunji arrived from Earth 3 weeks later. She was an experienced diplomat who would handle the formal negotiations, but she found that Captain Taiyang had already done most of the work. "You did well, Captain," she told him privately. "You showed the galaxy who humanity really is." "I just did what seemed right," Taiyang replied. "That is exactly why Admiral Hyun chose you for this mission." The joint trading station was completed 5 weeks after the confrontation. It was a beautiful structure, combining human and Valorian architectural styles. On the day of the opening ceremony, representatives from both governments gathered. Supreme Commander Veloth gave a speech. "We came here prepared for war. We believed that conflict was inevitable. We were wrong. Captain Taiyang and the crew of the Wanderer showed us a different way. They showed us that strength can be used to protect rather than destroy. That power can be used to build rather than tear down. Today, the Valorian Empire and humanity begin a new chapter together. May it be the first of many such chapters across the galaxy." Captain Taiyang also spoke. "Humanity sent only one ship because we believed one ship was enough. Not enough to win a war, but enough to start a conversation, enough to demonstrate who we are and what we value. We are grateful to the Valorian Empire for giving us the chance to prove ourselves. We look forward to a long and prosperous friendship." After the ceremony, Veloth and Taiyang stood together, looking out at the stars through the station's large viewport. "I have been thinking," Veloth said. "If your Admiral Hyun had sent a fleet, what would have happened?" Taiyang considered the question. "Probably war. Pride on both sides. Thousands dead. Even if we won, the relationship would have been built on fear and resentment. By sending one ship, we forced everyone to think creatively, to find a better solution. Your Admiral is a wise being, he is, but he trusted us to implement his vision. That is also wisdom, knowing when to let your people solve problems in their own way." Veloth nodded. "I have learned much from this experience. I will bring these lessons back to my people." Back on Earth, Admiral Hyun sat in his office. He was reading reports from the Sigma Quadrant. Everything had worked out better than he had hoped. There was a knock on his door. A young officer entered with a message pad.